Wagwan sports fans, welcome back to another post-game analysis. I'm your host Jomar, and this is This or That Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting and riveting sports topics, discussions and debates on the internet. So as you can see, people, we are here live from the National Stadium East, where we just witnessed Tivoli Gardens defeat St. George's College in a thrilling Walker Cup semi-final encounter. And today I will be analysing that game, in the absence of Rush, who's out about doing other This or That Sports TV business. However, before starting this post-game analysis, one must first recap the game, just to allow you guys to understand the various points and events that led to this final result. So the game began with end-to-end action. Both teams seemed to have come out with intensity and fervour. Both teams wanted to go ahead, but it was George's who would have gotten the best chance early in the game, or the first chance in the game, which was Adrian Reed with a cracking strike, in the 21st minute. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it was saved by the goalkeeper. And in the 25th minute, because it was end-to-end football, Tivoli Gardens got their chance, and because they consistently played the ball to the wings, they had a winger, Walness, number 9. He was making a lot of things happen, and he got a beautiful square in, but they were unable to convert on the chances. A few minutes later, their striker, Richards, he made a darting dribble from about half line and played a beautiful through pass, but unfortunately, neither team able to convert. As the half progressed, Dorman, he took another shot in the middle of the first half, once again not converting, and this would have been the story. The first half would continue to progress, and as Tivoli High consistently bombarded the wings, caused the St. George's wing-backs problem, and that's how the goal would come. In the middle of the first half, they would make a run down the wing, Walness would square the ball over, and Richards, the number 12, he would convert it quite easily with the head, and so the score would be Tivoli High School 1, St. George's 0. The first half would continue in an end-to-end fashion, and St. George's would create more chances after that point, but they still wouldn't be able to create a good enough chance to convert, and that's how the first half would have ended. Tivoli Gardens High School 1, St. George's College 0. The second half restarted, and it was more of the same, more end-to-end football, until St. George's College, they started to get more assertive. They started to have a foothold in the game. It seemed as though Neville Bell told them something in the halftime speech to put a little bit of pep in their steps, and they would start to dominate. In the 56th minute, St. George's College had a ball played over, and unfortunately their striker, Joshua Jackson, would have went for it, but he got none of the ball and he got all of the opposition's chest, and it was an egregious tackle, and the referee saw it fit to give him a straight red card in the 56th minute. As I said, St. George's would continue to possess the ball. They'd continue to put the Tivoli Gardens team under pressure, and they would create the lion's share of chances. Reed would have gotten a shot, he would have missed. Reed would have gotten a shot in the 62nd minute, he would have missed. The keeper would have made a meal of it, and Brian Burkett would have latched onto the rebound and took it beside the defender and went down quite easily, I might add, but the referee saw it fit to give a penalty, and at this point in the 62nd minute, St. George's College were convinced that they would get the go-ahead goal from a Brian Burkett penalty. However, he stepped up and he smashed it over the bar, leaving the score still Tivoli Gardens 1, George's 0. That did not deter St. George's College, however, as they continued to push. They continued to create chances. In the late embers of the game, the 86th minute, we saw where the Tivoli Gardens defender made a mistake, and the St. George's attackers ran onto it but just weren't able to convert. We saw true passes being played, but St. George's just failed to convert, and this would have been the story of the last 10 minutes of the game, getting easy chances and not being able to convert, and as such, the final score, Tivoli Gardens High School 1, St. George's College 0, sending Tivoli Gardens 2 to the Walker Cup finals. That was the recap of the game, and as I said before, the game started fairly end-to-end. Both teams came out with intensity. Both teams came out to play good football, and that they did. The first half would have gone, and unfortunately, or some might say fortunately, St. George's would have been down 1-0. But to analyse the first half of the game, my apologies, Tivoli High School definitely seemed as though they had intention. They had a game plan. So their number 18, the man of the match today, Dorman, he was controlling everything in the midfield. And you can see that his intention was clearly to get the ball over the top to his wingers and have them square the ball over to the forward. And they would consistently do that time and time again, resulting even in that goal. Another outstanding player for the Tivoli Gardens High School is Watson, their captain. He was a menace. He gave the Georges wing-backs trouble for the whole game. He constantly went forward. He constantly gave them problems. And in the latter part of the game, when St. George's had a stronger hold on the game and when St. George's were trying to push for the equalizer, we saw Watson with all that energy and fervor helping out defensively as well. It was an outstanding game for him. Wallman, their other winger on the other side of the field, he himself was a menace. He squared many beautiful crosses and provided his team with very good chances that they just weren't able to convert. So those were the standout players, but as I mentioned, Dorman, the man of the match, he was an absolute maestro in the middle of the field. He moved the ball very well. He controlled it. It seemed as though he had his paws on everything that went on in the game. An absolutely outstanding performance. And though not scoring the goal or necessarily getting the assist, was involved in almost everything Tivoli Gardens today, and that's why he was awarded the man of the match. Now to the losing team, St. George's College. They still put up a formidable fight. They did put up a respectable showing of themselves. Unfortunately, the story for them, not being able to convert on very easy chances. And that's what we saw time and time again. They missed a penalty. And in the late embers of the game, they would get chance after chance after chance. And when I say chance, I mean absolutely clear chances. One-on-ones with the goalkeeper. Easy headers from corners. And none they would convert. In fact, I doubt they even got a shot on target in the second half from inside of the 18 yards. And best believe they did get opportunities inside of the 18 yards. Though they went down in minute 56 to a Joshua Jackson red card, which was an egregious tackle, it came right after he would have missed probably the easiest chance of the game off of a Tivoli Gardens missed kick, and he got it one-on-one with the keeper and just fluffed it. And then I think frustration would have led him to get the red card. Joshua Jackson is somebody that they expect a lot from, and I think the way he went out today, poor. It's not good form for him. He's somebody that should be one of the leaders on this team. He's somebody that they rely on to convert for them in the final third, and he would have missed a few good chances and then went out with a very, very silly red card. And that sums up Joshua Jackson's performance. The standouts for St. George's College though, we have Brian Burkett. He started in the midfield, which is where we were familiar with him playing last year. He's been playing a lot of forward this year, however. Today he started out in the midfield, and he absolutely bossed the game. He showed his class, he showed his pedigree, making very good passes, making very good decisions, getting the balls to his wingers at all times, and providing opportunities for his team. In fact, in the second half of the game, he was the one who got brought down, and received the penalty. And Brian Burkett is known for converting on those penalties. Unfortunately, seeing that he is human being after all, he kicked it over the post, and I know he rules that opportunity right now. He went down immediately on the ground. He was brought to tears. That's how much it meant to him, and that's how much it hurt him, missing that penalty. But in spite of that, he still had a very outstanding game, and it's something that he can harp his hat on. Another outstanding performance for the St. George's College team was captain and midfield maestro Adrian Reed. He again had his foot on almost everything in George's midfield. He was spraying passes, he was taking shots, and the penalty did come from a shot that he took from about 35 yards that the keeper should have done better with. So all in all, Adrian Reed, he did put up a valiant performance today. He led from the front, unfortunately just not doing enough to get Georges over the line. And that's basically how this game transpired, a tale of two halves, I suppose. Tivoli Gardens and Georges, equally matching each other in the first half. However, Georges coming out in the second half with a fire, with a fervor that they really applied, and they instilled it upon the game, and they stepped on Tivoli Gardens High School's throat. But the end product, as many coaches would emphasize, it's all good for nothing if not to convert when it really matters. And that's where Georges lacked today, and that's why Tivoli Gardens got the better of them ultimately. And now the story has been told. The Walker Cup finals have been written, and we'll see Haile Selassie play against Tivoli High School. And one theme that you can acquire from this matchup is two inner city teams, two quote-unquote David versus Goliath type stories, where David managing to slew the giant as he did in biblical times, and we saw it today. Now, going into the finals, what can we expect? You know, two teams that might be monikered the underdog, but still managing to prevail over the quote-unquote big guns. When they're matched up against each other, what can we expect? Well, I did catch, you know, a half of the Haile Selassie game, and Haile Selassie has a discipline system. You know, they're well run, they're well led by Coach Linval Dixon, and I think they will put up a formidable fight. However, the offensive artillery of Tivoli Gardens should be able to overpower Haile Selassie and definitely get them on the back foot. As for the results, both teams play very different styles. You know, one team plays more disciplined, one team is more direct. You know, one team, which is Tivoli Gardens, has very good midfielders and very good wingers, and they attempt to always come out and go at teams next. So I think the matchup on Friday will be a great matchup, and it will be a delicious appetizer before the final game of the Manning Cup, and I can't wait to see it. But people, you know, I've analyzed the game, I've brought down the game, and it's time to wrap it up. But before we go, I must compel you guys to share the video, to leave a comment, to like the video. I make a mistake. But first, I must compel you guys to comment, to subscribe, to like the video. And lastly, share the video to at least 10 people, but ensure to get us 6 subscribers, because if you guys can do that, you know how many subscribers that get us by the end of the day. But I'm Jomar Graham, reporting live from the National Stadium East, and this was This or That Sports TV, and we're out.